Here we are in the garage with the V8 jet ski, and this is not V8 jet ski part 8 because the thing that's going on with this is kind of more of, we're going to talk about some things in this video, and there's not really any work being done on the ski during this video, so this is not part 8, although this does have to do with the V8 jet ski, and probably going to go through the comment section a little bit on some of the other videos. And I'm a little bit cold, so I'm going to put on another t-shirt because I had this sitting in the garage.
Still a little bit chilly here. Is it chilly where you guys are?
This company here is helping us out a lot with the build.
Gosh, and I like that.
Talk about a cool company.
Man, if we could get like a lot of companies helping out with this thing, we could probably do it as good as the people in the comments want.
Right.
I know a lot of people just want to spend like $100 grand on this thing initially, but it just doesn't work that way because Josh doesn't have $100 grand to throw at this initially. All right, he has to kind of snowball this thing. So I mean, you gotta hold off on a couple of things because he's gonna redo some stuff along the way, and eventually we'll get to what you want eventually.
Well, okay, so what Jacob is saying is that this is not a gigantic YouTube channel, so we don't have like the huge influx of money coming in to just dump into our projects. If we could drop like 20 grand into this thing, then we could have something pretty amazing right out of the gate. And realistically, it should be pretty awesome straight out of the gate anyways, at least in theory. So we've been, hard at work-ish. Okay, I shouldn't say that. We've been working on the gearbox setup, but Jacob and myself both went to the dentist this week. It was kind of...
Josh lost a tooth. I spent 3 hours in the chair.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of work. I was saying work at the dentist. No, dentist doing work on our teeth. And yeah, they ripped one of my teeth out. So, it's like, I wasn't supposed to do anything for a few days and all that crap. Yep.
Well, so listen, guys. Here's another thing. You got to consider this. If we don't have miles of money to do this stuff with, like, this is so much more unknown. This isn't stuff that people have covered, so we're kind of guessing with a few things. So you just got to be strategic in spending your money when you're doing stuff like this, and money is a factor.
We have been working on part 8 of the V8 jet ski, and we just don't have enough to do a full video on it. But the big focus probably for part 8, I believe, will be the gearbox, if I'm not mistaken. But Jacob is a machinist professionally, so he is definitely helping me out with some of the scribbly wibbly cutting out of like the gearbox and all that crap. And we got bearings and shafts and gears and all kinds of crap.
Yep. And the thing with the gearbox too is it's like we don't necessarily know how it's gonna work. We're not like Toyota building it for a Camry that's got to go 1,000,000 miles and stay on the same gearbox. I mean, this is all stuff where you're figuring it out for the first time and you just don't know. And so some stuff, it's if we get like just enough rides to know how the stuff that we've put together works, then that's a big deal, because you have to build it and then you have to ride it and then you have to fix it after you decide that some stuff sucks and some stuff doesn't.
So for me, on the very first test ride on the V8 jet ski, if we can hit 60 miles per hour on the first test, I'll be pretty happy with that, and I'm going to call it a win, because we're obviously going to be doing a bunch of different little stuff from there to try to get a lot closer to the 100 miles per hour mark. So if we can hit 60 on that first test ride with nothing breaking, then I'll be calling that a win.
I think a lot of the guys, I think we got through the initial flow of guys being like, oh, why would you do this, blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, I just gotta say, like, to people like that, like, think about this. There's videos of people putting like Honda engines in Ferraris and off-road Lamborghinis, stuff like that. You can say the same type of stuff to them. You're just doing it to do it, man. But we love that you come and watch this stuff with us, but we're just not like big. We can't just go. We can't just get it done in a week, you know.
So, I do have the engine. It's just kind of sitting in here. It's got the motor plates just, you know, a little bit higher than it's going to sit when it's actually done. Oh, man. Can you imagine if it sat that high? I just put a spacer between the two hulls.
Yeah.
Make it like a 4-foot tall jet ski.
That would be kind of hilarious, just to have like a bond line that's a foot tall.
Oh, man.
I mean, I'm sure it kind of would work okay.
It would be pretty weird sitting way up there, though.
Oh,
Oh, man. I think on one of the videos, Jake was sort of giving a little bit of mockery to, like, the comment section, some of the things people were saying, like, and then, I don't know, it's kind of coming back around where the people were like, oh, you're making fun of me, ooh.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think a lot of those guys, I think just if you're one of the guys, I don't know, I'm not really thinking about anybody in particular, but most people that come and watch the videos, we talk to them so much that, you know, there's smack talk and it's all good, and so
Yeah, just like hanging out with the boys.
Yeah, we like when we're thinking about the people that watch these videos. I mean, we're thinking about half these people is just like guys we've been talking to for years in our comment section, and I mean, even when somebody comes in and they're a little bit critical or something like that, I mean, I think a lot of like bigger YouTube guys just kind of ignore that in their comment section, but I think we're a little bit more willing to just be like, oh, well, hey, come on, we'll talk to them. Come on, I mean, we appreciate that they're talking to us in the comments.
Yeah, Jake,
I'll just reach out and, you know, even if it's a little weird, like what you guys say, it's like, yeah, whatever, I'll talk to him. I'm happy that he wants to talk. I mean, we're getting so many comments now that it's harder and harder to respond to everything. But I mean, we're really happy that you come. I mean, when it comes to YouTube jet ski videos, we're probably not the biggest by a little bit, but gosh, I don't think there's any jet ski channels that have anywhere close to the amount of good guys that show up in the comments. So
That's true.
nobody's got anything on us. In our world, anyway.
Well, okay. So I was trying to say that Jacob usually has some pretty funny responses to some of like the weird comments that we get. There was one just the other day that made me chuckle, but I honestly don't remember what it was.
All I can think of is I was talking like NOS bottles and stuff. You guys, you really do crack me up in the comments. I really do love it when you guys put something in there that's really funny. Or even constructive comments. I like constructive comments too, but I really appreciate the funny ones, and you guys are pretty funny, so really much appreciated.
All right, we're gonna bust out the cell phone here and see what kind of comments we got. So in the comment section, we do actually get some quite good ideas to like get thinking about different things, and it's really helpful. Like if you have a suggestion, to give like an example, because sometimes I can't really find it because I don't really know what it is. So like if you give an example like what it is. So for one thing, somebody suggested that we run the pump off of a hydraulic pump from the engine, and I don't really have any knowledge from this sort of world of hydraulic pumps and hydraulic motors. So I just need like an example, like what uses that, so I can go look at that and kind of see what it does and how it works.
Yeah, and sometimes it's stuff like that. It's like, okay, it's a good idea. I don't like, and obviously we know nothing about that stuff. So our first thought is like, okay, you get that off of like some industrial equipment that costs $1 million. Like, from like a lot of the stuff, it's for a normal guy like us. We got nothing, no idea how to find it or even know anything about it. Speedmaster is China. Says Chapman.
Okay, if Speedmaster is from China, then just that totally sucks.
Yeah.
It might be, I don't really know.
Accident.
I thought, I'm like, oh, it seems like it's from around here. I don't know. It was more expensive than the normal Chinesium ones, so maybe it's like a A-grade level Chinesium unit, hopefully at least, instead of like that really crappy D-grade or F-grade Chinesium stuff.
Hey, Chevrolet is Chinesium, right?
Yeah, I mean, they can make good stuff in China, but like the knockoff stuff is usually pretty crappy.
Yeah, yeah. I guess that really makes a lot of sense.
Okay, here we go. This is something interesting. This is off of part 7. Somebody asked, can you build a reverse pitch prop and CNC it's just a click? Well, if we just threw a reverse pitch prop on it, then when we hit the gas, the impeller would unscrew from the impeller shaft.
It might not, but
I mean, it might not, and you know, we could figure out some sort of workaround for that. But you know, that's just something that we would have to figure out if we decided to go that route.
yeah, I mean, and if we were to CNC that, I mean, I'll tell you what I got. I'm able to get my hands on a Haas UMC 750, so just a 5-axis mill, and hogging out a piece of stainless that big, and gosh, it would take forever. It would be really expensive. We'd probably burn through like $2,000 worth of cutters. And so I would think with a custom prop for something like this, we would probably be going with the cut and weld method. Just because it's a lot more practical. And if you do spend like, I don't know, thousands of dollars on a prop and it sucks, then that's pretty not cool. So, I mean, we can get some pretty complicated stuff done for these things, but it has to be worth it for us to make it.
On the reverse pitch prop thing, there are different jet pumps. Even Yamaha makes one that spins the other way. We know because we just had one off of, it was a VX110, had a prop that spun the other direction. A little bit different setup.
You did, eh?
Yeah, it was a 155 millimeter pump, I'm pretty sure. The prop spun the other direction. It was more of like the Kawasaki setup, where the impeller slips onto the drive shaft rather than the drive shaft coming out with the impeller. So, I mean, I was really surprised about that, but you know, we could try to get something like that going, but I don't know.
I mean, and also we are open to the idea that like our first go of some of these concepts they're gonna need some sprucing up. So if we shove all the eggs into one thing, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, we know it's gonna have a V8 in the end, and we know a few things, but some of the stuff we might have to reconfigure as we go a little bit.
Okay, now there are some people who have talked about using a toothed belt instead of a gearbox. And,
yeah, like a Harley, which I thought was a good idea.
You know, that was an idea in my mind. I considered doing that.
Also, where do you get the belt and the stuff?
Yeah, I have no knowledge of that kind of thing, like where you get the belts, where you get the gears.
I bet you guys that do custom chopper stuff would know about that, but we don't.
Right, so I need an example. Go to this website, they have the stuff. So I have background from the automotive world. That's how I knew about the quick change rear end gears for the gearbox and how we could use that stuff and do that stuff. So, the toothed belt is, I think, a fairly valid option, but I don't absolutely love it because it will be inside the hull and it will be getting wet probably. So I don't know how that plays into a belt setup, but I'm sure it's not the greatest.
Okay, I like you guys liked my NOS idea. That was kind of a joke. Thank you to you guys that saw that it was kind of like a joke and made everybody who made funny comments. I enjoyed doing it.
This isn't a knock on this person for not watching the whole video, but somebody was saying, hey, this is somebody's trying to say this is internet lingo for you guys. Keyboard section is commonly referred to as the keyboard warriors. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, about 2 minutes earlier in the video, I called the keyboard section the keyboard commandos. So,
I mean,
that's pretty close to keyboard warriors.
I think we know that, probably most people don't watch the whole video. Yeah. I don't watch everybody's video the whole way through.
Yeah, keyboard warriors. I've heard that one. I don't use that one very often. I prefer keyboard commandos. But I just liked keyboard section instead of comment section.
We do know we got a bunch of warriors. You guys are a bunch of warriors going out and keyboarding for us, and oh my.
We always love the good funny comments. And sometimes humor doesn't translate through typing. So sometimes you have to throw a ha 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 on the end, or a smiley laughing face or whatever. Otherwise,
Yeah, you know, I heard something like there's this new like Facebook-y thing or whatever where it's like instead of typing it out, you do it like it's like video of you talking. So like your meanness or character kind of transfers over because like in just like words, I know it is kind of tough. People don't get it the way you mean. And I'm like that too. I really like this comment. So in the last V8 video, somebody said 4 turbos and 12 NOS energy bottles would be the best setup.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Good stuff.
Maybe 8 turbos.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine doing 4 turbos on that thing?
Oh my god.
A lot of extra plumbing. 12. Just, yeah, it's good.
I think, you know, the NOS is kind of like a little bit of a joke. Like, I could see us putting like, you know, like fake NOS bottles in just for looks or something. But like, really running nitrous isn't on the top of our list.
Here's the thing about NOS is it seems like these days you just turn up your turbos a little bit and it's like you have all that NOS horsepower all the time. So
right. So like if we weren't planning to do turbos, then we probably would spray
here we go.
with NOS.
We stopped saying NOS. We're saying NOS all the time. Oh, hey, guys. You know what we learned about NOS? Fast and the Furious and Need for Speed Underground. Okay. Come on, do you guys really think we know a thing about NOS in real life? We're saying NOS. That should be an instant clue to y'all. We know like zip. You think we've ever touched a NOS bottle in our lives?
Alright, so this is the thing. Like, I get it, like NOS is like a company that makes like nitrous systems, but like we all call every personal watercraft a jet ski because it's like just easier to say that than Wave Runner or Sea-Doo. We all sort of are okay with that, and there's the odd guy who gets, you know, a certain thing stored in his behind when you call Wave Runner a jet ski, and you know, some people are just real sticklers about that, but I think most of us don't really care. Like,
yeah, we say jet ski because you know it's like the generic store brand. You know what I mean? Everything can be a jet ski, right?
Okay, yeah, so. We don't care about terminology, so for me calling a nitrous system NOS, I don't really care, but I think somebody cares.
Yep. And sometimes we're not very smart while we're making the videos either, so.
See, a lot of people are trying to say that we could run the power through the front crankshaft just by like pinning the front crankshaft. I'm still a little bit like, I don't know, because like one pin through the crankshaft to run like the lowest horsepower number we'll see out of this engine is like 300 horsepower.
Yeah, right.
I'm pretty sure that's well within like stock 4.8 liter. I think stock they run around like 320 or 315. I don't know. Something like that. I mean, obviously we're not going to have long tubes on it, so we're not going to have that helping us, so maybe 300. But everything else, the accessories are basically going to be none. The intake will have almost no restriction at all. And so it'll be running in the way that makes like the most horsepower, except for the exhaust won't have long tubes on it.
Say we do that and it works like, you know, okay for a little while, and then we have to change it later, and then we end up turning the engine back the other way. That kind of suck. But
so if it's a total dog, like the exhaust is like what's holding it back and it's like strangulating it, we'll figure out some way to make some sort of like exhaust runners that have some like good scavenging so that it'll actually get some decent exhaust flow. But you know, exhaust headers are worth what, 20 horsepower?
well, they're worth less when you got turbos, so
It's just like
it seems like they don't matter as much on
For us-
LS's too.
for me, I'm like the ease of like just building like a little log manifold as compared to like complicated water jacketed long tubes. It's just not worth the 20 horsepower.
I mean, they make boat long tubes for LS, and they wouldn't fit in there, and they cost a lot of money, and so, you know, it's like,
yeah,
it just doesn't work. And, you know, I think a lot of guys talked about, like, aluminum for the exhaust. That was hokey, and it's like, you're kind of right, but also, like, marine manifolds, they're aluminum. I mean, they also make them in steel and stuff, but for jet skis, and they make them for V8 boats, they make that stuff in aluminum, and it's all water jacketed so it doesn't melt and burn to a crisp while it's running. So I mean, you can make it work. You just gotta design it in a way that
is gonna be right.
All right, so I try to look at all the suggestions when somebody like shoots something out there. This is one I haven't gotten to look at yet, but I'm interested to see what this is. Somebody said, hey, take a look at a Pete Jackson gear drive. You could copy the dog bone for holding the idler gears. So I'm definitely going to look that up and see what that is, because there could be some little thing that'll really help us when we set up the gearbox and whatnot. And Jacob has done some of like the measuring and specifications for the gearbox and whatnot. So he's a machinist, so I'm hoping it'll turn out pretty good. I'm confident it'll turn out good because he's a machinist. I was gonna kind of build it myself, and it was just gonna be kind of down and dirty and a little bit crappy. But now that he's gonna machine it, it's probably gonna be pretty good.
Well, I'll save Josh a buttload of time. So.
Jacob was just reading a comment like, off camera, and he was some guy saying, "How about like more building, less talking?" Because I guess we repeated ourselves, or I repeated myself 3 times in the video. And Jacob said he got reamed for saying that.
Rick M's and Vin, good old Vin was just like, go watch paint dry. Yeah, hey, you know what, to that person, I mean, I get it. It's like, you're clicking through, you're like, oh, cool, this guy's got his 1,200 horsepower Lamborghini that he just built. That's cool. Okay, V8 jet ski video, click. I mean, we're not there in life, so.
Yeah, I mean,
I get it. I mean,
the repeating myself, I think that comes because I'm thinking, whoever watches this is going to be kind of clicking through the videos, so I might say it a few times just in case they missed it.
Yep, exactly.
I don't ever really think in my mind, oh, somebody's going to watch us all the way through. Although I'm trying to get to a point in the videos, like, making them in a way that somebody, like, watches it and just ends up going through the whole video, and they're just kind of like, oh, I just watched that whole video, and I didn't even think about it. So I'm trying to make them like less boring.
I think we do a good job
more pickup and going along. So we're still trying to improve the video formats and make it interesting for you guys.
I think we do a good job of keeping it so like people like balancing it out so that like we don't explain the whole thing every video, and then like there's the guys that come in, they see everything. I think we do a good job of doing something that is good enough for everybody to watch. But the classic, why the cast iron block? Well, because it's cheap.
Right, I mean, aluminum, that would be preferable. It would instantly drop 100 pounds off the engine, so.
Yeah, I mean, I looked on eBay, and I mean, I guess you can get aluminum block engines that, if it was for a car, it would be not as preferable because it's like the automatic with all the crap for an automatic, but for this, it wouldn't matter, but they're not like the price of one of these iron block ones, so it's like, maybe once this thing kind of gets creeping along a little bit better, then you can start thinking about aluminum blocks,
Right, and the only other thing is that the iron blocks are able to handle more boost before you gotta do things. Or I shouldn't say things. The iron blocks do handle more boost than the aluminum ones. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
So if we are planning to actually do the speed record and, like put like 1,200 horsepower or something like that through the engine, we're in cast iron block territory there. So the way I understand it is the aluminum blocks are good to around 9 to 1,000 horsepower, whatever boost level that is, or I guess. And then the iron block ones are good to like, 1,500 or so horsepower. I mean, maybe more. I'm not really sure. And I know that they make the LSX, which is kind of a block that I think that they designed for like putting a ton of boost through. So I don't know. There's just different things out there. I don't know everything, but the way I understand it is the aluminum block can't take quite as much boost just out of the crate.
Yep. It probably translates a little bit differently when you got it into a ski versus a car. So you might be able to push it a little further in a ski, since you're not going to be revving it to $9,000 and then letting out dumping the clutch and having it go straight to like slicks and stuff like that. So, okay, I'm looking at some more stand-up type stuff, and gosh, you guys, I know the X2 guys are always really vocal, and I'm noticing that in all my comments, which is cool. I'm glad you guys come. I'm sorry I don't have more X2 stuff. I have one X2 and I'm trying to get it, but you know me, I got a lot going, and you're seeing lots of simultaneous builds, because you know, sometimes it doesn't work out to keep doing one thing. You're waiting on something. But
here's a like sneak peek into like a future or the part 8 video for the V8 jet ski. This little thing's custom tool. This is a custom tool that we made for doing something to do with the gearbox. And then let me just pan across the workbench. It's pretty freaking disgusting and dirty in here, but you know, that's what we got going. And then here's some of my chicken scratch, just writing stuff down that I need to get, like different bearing sizes and whatnot. But yeah, and yeah, I just made that a bigger mess.
You know, is this funny? Like, when I drew this thing, I was like all burnt out. But I come here, and Josh is like, okay, yeah, I'm thinking about this gear casing thing, blah 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 blah. You know, I just come home from work and I just made just this super convoluted satellite part that's all these angles and stupid holes, and it's like, well, Josh's thing only has to be like a square with some holes in it that hold bearings. Yeah, I could probably get that up. I could make that in like an hour, so I could, if he just think, if Josh was able to just have a casing that he puts the gears in, puts the bolts in, bolts it together, and then like, you know, fits it up to the back of his engine, that would really get him going, versus, I mean, doing all this by hand. So, like, I just thought that was kind of funny. Like, I'm like, kind of burnt out from work. I just made this stupid space part, and Josh is telling me, oh, I need to, these gotta fit together like this, and I'm like, oh, it seems really simple. I just gotta know what exactly you want to make. And he's like, oh, yeah, I just need it to fit somehow. And I'm like, okay, well, just okay, I see. Okay, I see how it is.
So it sounds like basically I'm gonna design the whole thing for him and make it for him. Hopefully I'm able to do that soon, and that'll get him up and running a lot faster.
Yeah, the kind of setback where I'm at is that I kind of need the gearbox done, so I know exactly the height the engine needs to go at, so then I can actually, you know, get the engine mounts done, bolted in. And obviously once the engine's bolted in, it's kind of like off to the races, like just slamming stuff together.
Yeah, I remember some guy in the comments was like, man, you gotta get a Scott jet pump. And those are the pumps that we were first looking at, and they are nice, but they're like $85,000, and it's like an 8.5 inch pump.
Not 85,000, like 8,500.
Yeah, 8,500, but you get like this 8.5 inch pump, and I saw some videos of, you know, V8 aluminum boats with it, and they just, you know, gosh, those, you could see they had so much power. They were like straight up in the air right when they goose it. So yeah, that would be great, but we don't have $8,500.
Yeah, and so right now the Yamaha pump that we're initially using is, didn't we measure it out like at like 6.5 inch or something? It's like 6.5.
Like 6.3.
6.3, and then we can.
So it's pretty big, but
we can step it up. There's a little bit bigger one we can put on there that steps it up to like what, 6.4 or something.
No, I think 6.3 is the 160.
Oh, okay. Well, right now we're sitting on a 155 instead of a 160.
So it's like a 6-incher.
So yeah, I mean, stepping up to the 160 is, you know, just easy. It's like peanuts compared to like buying an $8,000 pump. So
Yeah, okay. There was the guy that mentioned the Scott pumps is like, yeah, man, it's like, imagine blowing through a straw versus blowing through like a giant pipe or something like that. And it's like, yeah, I mean,
yeah,
he's right, but the thing is, it's more like, think about it like you're blowing through like a 6-inch pipe versus an 8.5 inch pipe. Like it's a big difference, but it's not, you know, it should work.
Yeah. So, let's see. Oh, and going along with like the jet pump stuff, for us, there are like different parts and components for like the Yamaha pump, like the different sections, like here, like from Solus, and I don't know if Scat makes one, But there's like a few different like parts we can do to kind of soup up the Yamaha pump.
And it's cheap. Like you can buy,
And it's like peanuts.
compared to like big boat jet pump stuff. Like you can buy like an 18 vein giant, you know, aluminum, you know, pump section for like the same price as like a crappy impeller for like a gigantic boat pump. So
Yeah, it's like, you know, we're gonna try some of the tricks of like building these Yamaha pumps, and you know, if they don't work and we end up having to put a you know, big jet pump out of a boat in here, that's fine, because we can take all the like little tricky parts that we made for this and use them on a different build to make that build go faster. We do have a different ski that has the original FCR engine in it.
yeah,
You know, we could throw the pump parts at that thing and make that thing pretty gnarly.
we're just living in the cost prohibitive world, you know? I mean, hey, you never know. Maybe somebody calls you up and starts sending you stuff. That's great. Thank you, Holly. But,
Yeah, Holly just was like, yeah, we want to help with the build. So it's like, yeah, that's great.
Holly's great, but
That's
like,
helping us a lot.
A lot of the other stuff that we would need is like niche boat parts. So it's not like Holly, where Holly makes like 10,000 million parts for 1 billion customers. You know, it's like, you know, what stuff we would need is like from small companies. So it's a little bit more tricky to get kind of support from that type of thing.
I don't know if I want to talk about anything else on this one. How about you?
I could be done. Could you guys be done?
Is there anything you wanted to say? What about your latest video, or Jacob's Roundup video?
I can't remember, but all I remember is I'm always enjoying seeing you guys in the keyboard section. Always love talking to you. You guys are great.